Welcome back to Tokyo on Fire. This segment here is dedicated to all of you policy wonks and professional geeks because we're really going to go inside baseball and talk about the possibility of a snap election coming up within the next maybe 6 weeks or 8 weeks, Michael?
I can't see it happening before the New Year's holidays. They, of course, will have the closing of the current session of the extraordinary session of the Diet, and there's going to be a few days, but that time was supposed to be revving up the PR machine for the Putin visit. And then you only have 16 days left in the year. Everybody goes off work on the 28th. There's not enough time to run an election, in my view.
It was a hot topic for us a couple of months ago. We were thinking and predicting and projecting the window of opportunity for the Prime Minister and other dynamics that are going on that help us kind of read the tea leaves to say, yes, he's setting up for it. For example, LDP meeting.
The LDP has its March meeting instead of a January meeting. That's supposed to be supposedly for his coronation as being the first LDP president. Who's
back it up just a little bit. So he's only supposed to serve 2 terms.
That's right.
And 2 months ago, the LDP had a meeting that said, yes, he could serve 3.
Yeah, they were
opening the possibility up.
They were trying to figure out how do we open up the Pandora's box of allowing someone to go on and on. Now, these rules were all cooked up, as were term limits in the United States for presidents, because of somebody being in a position for a very, very long time. And that somebody was Abe's great-uncle Sato Eisaku, who served from 1964 until 1972, a long period of time.
Right.
And that long period of time ticked off other major players within the LDP, and they set up these rules that you can only do 2 consecutive terms as president. And then they expanded it from 2 2-year terms to 2 3-year terms. But that's not enough for this Abe prime ministership. It's going on and on and on, unlike most premierships which die out in a year. So they were going to go, okay, what can we do? We can either get rid of the limits, you can be reelected as many times as you want, or we can do a 3rd term. And they went with that second idea, which is there'll be a 3rd 3-year term available so that you can serve up till 9 years, which would, again, put him past great-uncle Sato.
Right. And the other issue that they dealt with is that this is not something that is future projecting. I mean, the current administration also gets to benefit on this new rule change.
That's exactly right.
Frequently, they recuse themselves.
That's right. This is purely opportunistic and purely to reward him. He did bring the party back from the political wilderness and now to supermajorities in both the House of Councilors and the House of Reps. In the House of Councilors, it's with not only the LDP's formal alliance partner, the Komeito, but with a few minor parties. The initiatives out of Osaka is now called, or no, it's initiatives from Japan, Ishin, those people, and then the Japanese Kokoro, the party of Japanese Kokoro. With those, they've got the ability to manipulate the Constitution if they wish to do so, which is something that we have seen completely shoved off the table. Right. And he deserves a 3rd term. But now the whole point of that was to give him that 3rd term for having led them to a victory in the winter.
Right.
Now,
which would have been described in a lot of different ways. I mean,
but
maybe the peace treaty with Russia, for example, or TPP, and we're rushing through that.
That's right. It was supposed to be a referendum on TPP, a referendum on a possible deal with the Russians. No TPP, no deal with the Russians, no election.
Right.
And you still want to get those extra 3 years. Going to be difficult.
It's going to be difficult. So our favorite scenario right now is not that there's going to be a snap election in January, but if there is, it's got a very tight window where it can actually happen.
You know, it's so hard to see how the delayed meeting will be handled in terms of PR. Everyone understood that there is always a January meeting. except under special circumstances, once when there was an election. So when they moved preemptively the meeting to March, it seemed like there was nothing else that it could be but the preamble for an election.
Right.
Now it's just in the wrong place.
Yes.
And if he doesn't have an election, what are they going to do about the request? Well, he's been very Japanese in that he himself has not formally said, I want to continue and I deserve it.
Oh, he has to be asked.
He has to be asked, and his underlings and his partisans are, of course, pushing hard for this rule change. And the other barons inside the LDP, Komura Masahiko or Nikai Toshihiro, this sounds like a good idea. Let's go forward with this. If he doesn't have an election, he's getting rewarded for nothing.
Right.
Or
he might not get rewarded.
Yeah, but then what was this all about? And there was one of the things that has been so characteristic of this administration as compared to other ones is its sequencing. A, then B, then C, then D, and they get the timing right. They get the period of time between the two steps right. They get them in the right order. And this was part of it. We're going to do...
Well, this is the calculus for politics, isn't it?
Yeah, but in this case, no administration in my memory has ever been able to really sit back and say, no, we don't have to do this right now because we have to do this step first. And it's only after this step is done that we can move on.
Well, apparently they learned a lot from the Clinton administration, wouldn't you think?
Well, I think they learned a lot from the administrations of the Democratic Party when they tried to do everything all at once.
Sure.
Instead, they sequence things, they are patient. But here, the sequencing, the juggernaut, the movement has just gone right off the road because of things that Abe could never control.
Sure.
He could not control the United States on TPP. He can't control Putin's view of Japan, except whatever it is that he may feel as an emotional tie to judo.
Right.
It's just the calendar is now off, and it's not their fault. But what is there going to be their response?
So is it accurate to say that without some kind of good Christmas gift, the Prime Minister is probably not going to push for a snap election and thereby project a snap election or maybe just the regular election cycle that will happen this time next year?
Well, the thing is, his term in office ends in 2018. And there has to be an election for the House of Representatives. And it gets messed up in terms of the timing of his term in office as president of the LDP and the timing of the official end of the House of Representatives term.
So the best timing is in January.
It's the best timing for if you want to have control over the process. If you want to just let it go, and that's what happened in the case of the Aso administration. When Prime Minister Aso came into power, he came in with the expressed purpose of immediately holding a snap election because the LDP would be bouncing back out of the doldrums of the Fukuda administration and would be able to prevail against the tremendous headwinds of the world and Japan and the Japanese citizenry, saying, it's time for you to go, LDP. No, we'd have a new administration that always leads to a bounce up in our popularity, and we'd be able to go.
Makes sense.
Except, of course, the global financial crisis erupted. And something bigger than just an LDP election came on and took over the entire schedule. And they just kept delaying and delaying and delaying the election until it absolutely had to be held in August, and they got wiped away.
Right.
And Abe and company learned from that. You have to be proactive. You have to have control of the calendar because the calendar will control you otherwise.
Right. The prognosis for a snap election in January looking farther and farther away, but these kinds of things are important to you if you're still awake and watching this. Please stay tuned. We're going to continue to follow this and report to you.